push record. Okay. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, it's okay. Pavlo and I, Dr. Katuev and I, we met when I was on my sabbatical to Ukraine back in the fall of 21. And we've organized a partnership between his university and ours, Mіллікін and KPI. That partnership has been acknowledged and signed off on by both universities, by our president and provost. So this is a cooperative agreement to share resources, to share ideas in particular. That's what we're trying to do today. So that's one reason why we've invited Ukraine into this discussion, because it's our ongoing collaborations, which we will continue to do as we move forward. I want you guys to be aware of that. The subject of revitalization is something that's interested me for several years, and it's expressed itself here at Mіллікін in the form of the Torrance Park Revitalization Project that Jackie and Isabel and Emmanuel and the capstone students will talk about in a moment. I just wanted to say, revitalization, you know, what is it? Revitalization is restoring life. That's one definition. So more broadly, when you think about restoring communities, restoring neighborhoods, restoring countries, there's a lot that can go into that. So we're hoping that we can give you some ideas of how our students have revitalized Torrance Park and how that might relate to any revitalization plans or attempts in Ukraine during wartime. You know, that seems like a stretch, but I think that idea of revitalization applies to everyone in the room. So that's the theme, just so everyone's on the same page, okay? Let me turn it over to Jackie now. This is Jackie Viken, who's going to start our presentation, the capstone part of this, talking about revitalization at Torrance Park.
Hello, I'm Jackie. So I've been like an intern working with Ken really closely, working in the community. I've gone to hundreds of meetings this semester. I'm not exaggerating. So with Torrance Park, it was started in the fall of 2019 with 5 vacant lots and a sidewalk that I couldn't even see because there was so much dirt on it. Dr. Lauндри has used Torrance Park as a place to for performance learning, so like going out there with classes to show that like they can do this stuff. We've taken environmental, social solutions, the senior capstone that we're in, and me as an intern. And then this project is a way to show students how to work with this community and like have their support. So we don't just go out there and like do it. The community tells us what they want to see, and then we implement that. So like they want to see, like you'll see like they want to see a community garden. They want to see life and beautiful in their community. So we're going in there and doing that with them. So along with Torrance Park, we're working with places like CONO, the Coalition of Neighborhoods organization, ThinkWell, and CEC. They're community environmental. So some of the learning goals with Torrance Park is the urbanization and revitalization. So we're working on like Ladybug Mountain is to be beautiful. We're working with the community garden and the nature trail. A lot of these places are in a food desert, so they're over a mile away from getting fresh fruits and vegetables like at a store. So we're working with doing community gardens, and we're having a block party next Saturday. Environmental justice. Torrance Park is right next to the Staley factory, and it really smells over there. If you live in Decatur or you live here, sometimes you can smell it. It's really bad over there, and that happens a lot in like other big cities. Environmental criminology, there's a lot of dumping. A lot of people will toss their TVs. We've found couches, love seats. They just toss it out the back of the truck and keep going. And then for deep ecology, we have educational kiosks along our nature trail so people can kind of learn about the environment that they live in. And then we actually have a QR code game. I think one person's played it, but we're working on it. We're gonna get there. So some of the project overviews that we have done this semester is that we are working on a crosswalk. We have the community garden. There's a community survey. We're clearing out Mockingbird Way, and then we're having a block party. So, Isabel, do you want to talk about the crosswalks?
Just making sure they can see me. It's kind of tall.
Turn the light on.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
There you go. So as one of the learning goals that Jackie was talking about, beautifying the neighborhood, one of the things that we did in order to achieve that goal was beautify the neighborhood by repainting the sidewalks. So we went out there, measured, taped off, and painted the sidewalks to these bright, beautiful colors. The idea behind that is that since the neighborhood is more beautiful than it once was, it could help limit people illegally dumping and otherwise trashing the neighborhood. Adds area to otherwise vacant area of town. This neighborhood is surrounded by a lot of abandoned buildings and a lot of abandoned factories. And it gives the residents a sense of pride for their neighborhood. If you look outside and you see a colorful sidewalk or a beautiful garden, it just makes you happy and proud to live there. It also reduces crime, and cars slow down when they see a mural on the road, not only to look at it, but if there's children crossing the sidewalk, they're more likely to stop for them.
Can I add that there are studies that show painting, beautification, things like a crosswalk actually reduce crime more than police in the neighborhood. It's very effective, along with lighting, more effective actually than police on the streets.
And it's not just like in Torrance Park. When I go to Kono meetings, there's other neighborhoods that have been doing this, and they've noticed traffic slows down. We're gonna take questions at the end. It's okay. You're good. I love it.
We might also talking about the garden.
No, I'll take garden. You're good. Okay. So our community garden was another part of this. It's called a ladybug mountain because the kids like saw a big heap of dirt and they thought it was a ladybug. So it's like a thing for kids. It's great. We love it. This addresses food insecurity because a lot of kids around here don't even know where like a tomato came from or a green bean. They don't know where that comes from. So we are actually partnering with ThinkWell. It's really exciting. They are going to come in and totally revamp all of this. They're putting in living walls that are going to have plants in them. They're putting in 3D printed concrete. It's going to be a $200,000 project, and they've already gotten $100,000 of it from just grants and funds from like state and different organizations. So it's really, really neat. It's going to be huge. It's going to have gazebos. It's going to have like raised gardens. They're going to have a shed that has like a solar panel on the top. It's going to have a place for the neighborhood kids to hang out. So it's going to be a really, really neat thing for the neighborhood kids and the neighborhood itself to come in. And the gazebos will also serve as like a teaching area. So the kids can finally learn like, hey, this is where your food is coming from. This is how you grow it, and kind of give them a sense of like pride and something to look after. So maybe there'll be like less vandalizing of the neighborhood as well. Okay, community survey. And this is for Emma. She's been working on this.
So the point of our survey is to do sociological research. Me and Landra have been working on it for the semester. So we have an online survey and then also like a hard copy survey. And the survey point of it is to see what the community wants to change in the community, what they want to, like the different projects we can work on next semester and this semester. And then at the block party next week, we will pass out the surveys at like the welcome table. So then again, there'll be an electronic copy and a hard copy for people that don't have electronic, so they can still fill out the survey.
We could show them the issue we had with the survey is that we're limited with the free version to 12 questions, so we had to really pare it down.
But they are excited. I talked to a few people in the neighborhood and they're really excited to be filling it out.
Yeah, we had to cut off a few questions, but
I'm sure they'll let us know in the comments.
And it's posted on our new website that we created, so we're gonna leave it there.
Okay, cleaning up. Oh.
Okay, so for the cleaning up of the park, so our classes and different classes have been coming out to help clean up, like from like the illegal dumping and the trash and along the trail. I know probably like last year or 2 years ago when I first did the social solutions class with Dr. Laundry, when I first went there, the park was very dirty. It was like almost filthy. I know like people used to pull up and empty like the trunk of their cars out and put all the trash up on the side up there, like on the side right there where you see all that trash at. But we, like our classes and different classes was basically trying to come in and help remove weeds, help try to keep up the mockingbird, like help keep up the park so kids actually like come and have fun and basically try to restore the community and restore like the building of the around the park, just so like kids can actually have a, like actually get the chance to grow up and basically have fun. And then we was adding and repairing signs of the trail, because the trail, at first it really wasn't like signs on the trail, so we trying to like fix the trail so people who actually like to walk, they can really get a chance and really view the park, like see the park for what it's for and not like the trashiness and how people just been leaving it for the last few years.
Mention that the trail starts at Boys and Girls Club, goes through town and ends at.
Okay, I got you. But as like picking up on the cleaning portion of this overall project, as like you can see here, there's a bunch of like trash that's at the back, and then the original trail starts at the Boys and Girls Club. So like the people who are mostly affected by this are the kids trying to escape all the negative outcomes of the environment that they live at. And so it doesn't help that they try to go to after school program that like benefits them, and as they're walking back home or just going out their day, they only set their environment is like filled with dump and trash and all that stuff, and like see that people don't care about their neighborhood and their areas, so like they're not going to start caring about it too, and they're going to think it's okay to continue on the cycle of illegal dumping. So our mindset when it comes to cleaning up is just try moving as much trash as possible and actually just revamp the park where like the kids who are affected by this can actually like change their mindset and view that the environment that they live in is actually like beautiful and wonderful. There was one time we were cleaning up, and there was a bunch of trash that like piled upon each other for so long that like it covered the mural that like Dr. Laundry has like started painting when we first started the project. And so while we were cleaning away, we started like finding like beautiful art that was covered up by dumps. There's like piles of socks and like clothes that were left over there. And so like a kid walking after school program won't think much of it because they don't see the beauty of it. So as we clean up the park, as we spend time actually making sure the kids enjoying their environment, it actually brings some pride with them and like just overall makes them enjoy their environment.
You found used needles out there?
Yeah, there's broken glasses, obviously like I mentioned, TVs, couches, just overall stuff that people just think no one cares about this area, so I might as well just leave all my trash and like just all they didn't care about in there. So we're just trying to make the kids like be safe while they're having fun. I can talk about the block party more. As we mentioned slightly early, like in the beginning, next week Saturday we're having a block party for the kids. And again, this is like the whole aspect of like we spent this whole year and these previous years to like fix the neighborhood that you're in, and we want the kids, the parents, siblings, friends to be able to actually enjoy like the part that we've been fixing, and for them to actually enjoy their area so they know that their area is now safe, not only safer, cleaner, and just actually a place for them to actually just go out and enjoy themselves. So Saturday, we're all there. We have games, we have food, like actual food. Now, also we're gonna have snacks. So little kids love snacks, but we actually plan on like actually feeding them meals that will actually help them throughout the day. Drinks, of course. We have music. We have all different games, and we have a raffle. So like kids are actually enticed to like come in and actually like enjoy themselves, as well as leave with like some form of a prize or present or anything like that. Just a little initiative to get people out there and just actually enjoy the environment that they're at. So like kids are actually spending time outside playing games instead of like being either cooped up in their room or just out doing something bad and like not effective for the neighborhood that we stay at. It just gives us a chance to bring in different community partners as well. We get to show like the university size, like upperclassmen or adults that they can look up to, as well as like different organizations in the community that can link in with the kids and connect with them to find them different outreaches and connections, so they're not just again cooped up within one area, and they actually have different resources and different environments to reach out to as they get older, and hopefully they could like become the help for the community as they get older and go out their way to help the environment that they stay in. I think this is just pictures of us as we're cleaning up.
Yes. So actually, this is like the steps that we've done to like paint the crosswalk, the steps that we've taken to like clean it, and then this is actually a banner. The Friends of Torrance Park. This is a banner that Ken and I put together. This QR code actually goes to our new website, so you can see like what's going on in the neighborhood, what we've been doing, what we have coming up, and things of that nature. So hopefully we can continue this partnership with Torrance Park, because I think we're actually making a difference. Like if you go in and talk to the neighborhood, they've come up to us and been like, hey, you know, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Or like, hey, like what else can we do? And they're actually really excited that we're there to help them. So it's been a fun project for us. Thank you.
Let me try making a little segue now. Like Jackie just said, the residents of Torrance Park have been very grateful for our involvement in cleaning up the area and with sponsoring these events. But I got to throw out there, before I say anything else, I got to throw out the fact that this project is more beneficial for my students in my classes than the residents of the community. As much as they appreciate us and the work we're doing, and picking up trash is important stuff in an area like this, in any area. But what I get out of it for my students are those learning goals you saw, where my students learn about issues like food insecurity and environmental criminology, the reduction of crime by doing something other than putting cops in these neighborhoods, for instance. So getting to see it firsthand is a big part of it. It's the biggest part for me. I always tell those residents who are thanking us that my students are getting more out of it than they are. And I don't think they quite understand that, but I wanted to just share that thought with you, because this isn't just volunteer work to help a neighborhood. It's a learning activity. This is service learning, and the learning part is something that gets overlooked a lot of times. We're also learning about revitalization. And that's what I want to turn our attention to now. And I think it's why most of you are here. The more interesting part of this is hearing from Dr. Katua, and I see Evgeny's in the room. Hey, Evgeny. You can turn your speaker on, say hi. I haven't talked to you in a while. You there, Evgeny? Not there? Okay. Oh, here you go. Well, I just wanted to shout out to some of the other people in the room. But I want to give Dr. Katua, Pavlo, a chance to talk about what revitalization means to him in Ukraine during wartime, and, really to show our support for their efforts and what they're going through right now. Pavlo, I'll let you talk now, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for standing with Ukraine, and thanks for pulling off this really incredible event. Lots of things to learn, but before I commence, a question for you, what's the causal relationship between painted sidewalks and reduction in crime rates, and what it makes even more efficient in fighting crime than putting cops on streets?
He asked you why, what's the correlation with painting the sidewalk and reducing crime?
The relationship is all the beautification, all the things we've done to clean up the neighborhood. You're a sociologist. I'm sure you've seen some of this research that shows that's one of the most effective ways, I should say, to reducing crime in these low-income neighborhoods. That's why we're doing it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I should read more about this. If you have any sources on this issue, please share them with me, because it's really important and really interesting. And speaking about rebuilding, revitalizing Ukraine, of course, it's a really complex and challenging issue, to put it mildly. because let me provide you with some statistics. Around 20% of Ukrainian sovereign territory is under occupation, Russian occupation. Some occupied territories have been under occupation since 2014, so for over 11 years now. Some have been occupied since 2022 and during this ongoing and totally unprovoked invasion. So, of course, there is a lot of death. Human toll, of course, is heavy, both in terms of killed and wounded, mutilated Ukrainians, again, mostly civilian population. But the toll on infrastructure, on buildings, is also heavy. I happen to be lucky enough to be living in Kiev, which is a capital city, and which is kind of right in the middle of the country. And Ukraine is quite big. It's the biggest European country, bigger even than France, and France is exactly the size of Texas. So, of course, most countries dwarf in comparison with nations like the United States or Canada, China, but kind of by European standards, Ukraine is big, in fact, the biggest nation.
About 40 million people in Ukraine, is that right?
The last census was conducted over 20 years ago, so we don't know for sure. It's hard to say. It's also a kind of quite significant challenge for policy making and policy implementation, because we had not known for sure how many people had lived in Ukraine before the invasion. And then, of course, that invasion caused quite incredible movement of people both inside Ukraine and kind of outbound movement outside of Ukraine, mostly towards the EU nations. Like Germany alone, I think, hosts up to 1 million Ukrainian forcefully displaced persons. So it's less. It's certainly less than 40 millions. Well, could be 35 millions. But again, we don't know how many people. Well, it depends on the war and its outcome. And because of this huge uncertainty and risks involved in living in Ukraine. But let me finish my first statement that I'm lucky enough to be living in Kiev, which is capital city and the best protected Ukrainian city in terms of air defense. But if one lives alongside the front line, and it's almost 1,000 mile long battle line. Of course, they exposed not just to long distance projectile strikes, but they exposed to old-fashioned artillery. Both sides are employing heavy artillery pieces they inherited from World War II, and they still can deliver a heavy punch. These are not precision weapons, which makes them extremely kind of dreadful and atrocious for civilian population and civilian infrastructure, because they can well be missing their military targets, but unfortunately they are good at destroying civilian houses, schools, kindergartens, hospitals, bridges, roads, etc. So Russia has amassed huge ground force, over 600,000 soldiers fighting, trying to invade Ukraine, and they're armed up to their teeth with jets, artillery, heavy artillery, mortars, and of course missiles, and last but not least, drones. And of course this inflicts heavy destruction. Well, luckily, thanks to heroic and extremely efficient effort on the part of Ukrainian defense force, Russians have been unable to wreak havoc on Ukraine, but they still have been doing a lot of damage. Of course, especially when it comes to hamlets, settlements alongside the battle line, when Russians are attempting an advance, they destroy everything. And again, mostly the destruction befalls on civilian infrastructure. You may have seen these pictures of cities, villages, communities Russians have managed to capture in the course of these 3 years. More often than not, they've been capturing just the pile of rubble. So basically, they've been razing cities, flourishing cities, to the rubble. Nothing's left. Almost no one is left there. We all know about the tragedy of Mariupol, which was besieged and nearly totally destroyed, with unknown number of civilian casualties. But let me switch to more kind of optimistic gear and talk about what's going on in Ukraine under the control of Ukrainian government, and more specifically about Kiev. There is a thing, kind of legislature determined thing, that local governments, they're in charge of their own money. So their money cannot be taken away from them. And the local governments, of course, are also heavily involved into defense effort, and they're supporting armed forces, buying stuff from armed forces, supporting soldiers and the like. But the local government's job is to take care of their communities, and kind of the most visible sign of taking good care of your community is that you build things, or you rebuild things, you revitalize things. And Kiev's mayor, I think, is globally known because his boxing career. Him and his younger brother, they were heavyweight. Not sure about.
You guys know Klitschko, the boxer.
Yes. Vitaly Klitschko, the boxer, the mayor of Kiev, and Vladimir Klitschko, also the boxer. Not a mayor yet, but who knows? So they were reigning champions, I think, in early 2000s, up holding most, if not all, the belts. So Vitaly Klitschko, and he's been a mayor for over a decade. Again, because of the war, he cannot hold elections. So he's well past his second term and still in office, which of course makes sense, because you cannot hold election, open and free election, if you are constantly bombarded, if the enemy, if your foe is raining missiles down on you. It's simply impossible. If you try to hold election, you will make, well, thousands of people susceptible to unacceptably high risks of being injured or killed. So Klitschko, once he was elected mayor, he kind of heralded the arrival of new era in city management, city administration, and he initiated and successfully, what is even more important, successfully implemented this initiative. I'm talking about kind of revitalization of cycling range. This is the oldest cycling range in continuous use in Europe. It was built in around 1910, so over 100 years ago. And again, it's been in continuous use for almost 100 years, and then it began dilapidating, was abandoned, and in early 2000s, it was totally abandoned. There were some semi-legal or one could say totally illegal development projects being implemented next to that cycling range. And then it was simply turned into, again, semi-legal or illegal parking lot. So once Klitschko got
Pablo, are you saying, sorry, are you saying cycling range?
Yes, yes, yeah.
For like bicycles?
Yes, yes, exactly. Cycling stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, what would you call
it? Cycling range, I guess.
Yeah. I'll show you pictures of it. So it's lovely. Well, it's in my neighborhood. And again, kind of has historic value as an oldest cycling stadium in continuous use in Europe. So, in fact, I was quite skeptical about the likelihood of implementing this idea, this project. But Klitschko managed to push it through, and now it's you know, like a piece of Paris in downtown of Kiev. The stadium was totally rebuilt, state-of-the-art facility. It has a cycling school for kids, gym facilities. They also rebuilt a little square adjoining the cycling stadium and little park. So it's become a kind of very vivacious and popular community hub. People flock there because it's really enjoyable. Kind of green grass, beautiful flowers, trees, and again, if you want to kind of practice cycling or on kind of advanced level, you can use the facility or roller skating. So the history of great success, and then again another history success story. But before I start talking about another second success story, let me make a remark. Klitschko's city administration is often criticized and accused of being corrupt, inept, and inefficient. Of course, corruption is a very serious issue in Ukraine. It hasn't been rooted out, obviously, quite rampant. But we are not going to talk about this. It's a separate issue. Just making this caveat.
Yeah, because we don't have corruption in America. I don't know if you know that.
Well, of course you don't. But I'm making this caveat to make sure that I'm not whitewashing Klitschko. He has his own issues and challenges, drawbacks. But again, I'm talking about things which have been successful. So there was a little park named after. I'm not going to go into details of the history of Soviet Union because at this stage it would be too complicated. But it was associated with the communist past, and there was a statue again throwback to that communist past. And Ukraine has been implementing these so-called decommunization policies for quite some time. So we've been removing statues, monuments, murals, and other stuff associated with the communist rule, the communist ideology, glorification of the communist rule. So you can quote communist ideologues for academic purposes, but you cannot put a mural of, say, Stalin in a public space. But you can have it privately in your apartment, for example. So there was an initiative to remove that statue, communist era statue, but there were some zealots protesting against it. And city authorities came up with an idea bordering on being genius. They started, guess what? Revitalization project. It was a total overhaul of this little park. So they raised everything, including the statue, this controversial statue, and then rebuilt the whole place. Now again, it's beautiful. Again, the only thing which comes to my mind, it's like Little Paris. Wonderful, wonderful, while it's again something in between garden and park, it's small. Comfortable benches, wonderful flowers, fantastic pedestrian walks. Again, I'll send you pictures tomorrow for you kind of to know and to enjoy. So things are happening, and again, as I've told, because local governments are kind of in full control, are totally in charge of their own finances, they have no other way but to spend this money on their communities, on improving lives of their communities, which basically comes down to improving, rebuilding, revitalizing community infrastructure. So against all the odds, despite the war, despite of course economic woes caused by the war, Ukraine and city and Kiev city in particular are muddling through, are alive, and sometimes even are trying to thrive. So that makes me, well, if not confident, but hopeful that we will prevail. Thank you.
Pavlo, how are the students sort of, we're talking about revitalization, but revitalization of their spirit after COVID and now the war? Are students still studying in the subways? Are they still on laptops, on Zoom? Or is there any normal classes in person? What's it like?
Well, very few normal classes. Well, in Kiev, luckily they don't have to study in the subway. Not so sure about Kharkiv because it's a frontline city being shelled constantly. So they may be forced to use the subway. Again, not so sure. KPI has been making a concerted effort to improve things when it comes to bomb shelters, because again, most of it's quite kind of really surprising. It was kind of a revelation to me that most of KPI campus, like university buildings, dorms, they were built during the heights of Cold War, when there was a kind of fear of nuclear war. Nevertheless, most of the buildings are lacking bomb shelters, so it's kind of interesting. But again, it could be a subject matter for separate research. What Soviet planners were thinking of, and what were they planning for? They were fearing a nuclear strike from the States, amassing this nuclear arsenal and not providing shelters for their own for its own population. But anyway, the university is making kind of really concerted effort to improve things when it comes to bomb shelters, kind of building new, again, rebuilding basements which could qualify, which could be certified by relevant authorities as bomb shelters. You got, again, with the help of our British partners, fantastic, just fantabulous bomb shelter underneath the library. It's deep underground. It was just a storage facility. Brits think poured like £500,000 into this project, and now it's state-of-the-art facility. It's deep underground, so it's safe, and it has everything like light, power supply, heating, Wi-Fi, rooms for smaller meetings, conference hall, and again, it's just top-notch facility with top-notch equipment. Extremely impressive. So, and you know, people have no choice but, well, I will kind of correct myself. Of course, it's extremely stressful, again, to say the least, to put it mildly. And my wife was killed by the war. Because of the war, she developed mental illness, and that mental illness undermined her physical health, and she died in her sleep from heart failure, being just 44 years old. And it's kind of direct cause and effect with the war. But so, of course, people under incredible stress, but people have to survive, people have to adapt, and they've been doing just that. So our students are struggling with all these challenges. They're scattered all over Ukraine, and in fact, all over the world. And majority of students are studying online, but some undergrads are invited to classrooms. And again, they cherish these moments. And when we talk about prospective applicants to our university, one of the first questions they ask is whether classes are conducted online or offline. And of course, they always opt for offline education. So again, it's tough, but we've managed to survive against all the odds. And again, thanks to this protection our armed forces are giving us. Because again, about 1 million of our fellow citizens, men and women, are wearing uniforms and are defending us and protecting us, defending our lives, freedom, liberties, and dignity. And of course, they're making invaluable sacrifice.
Thank you, Pavlo. I want to save a few minutes for questions. I'm about to ask for questions, but before we get there, I want to, first of all, thank you, Pavlo, for that basic information about Ukraine, because most Americans don't know a whole hell of a lot about Ukraine, so that's useful. But also your tragic story with your family. Thanks for sharing that. I want to say personally that my students, most Americans, I don't think, understand that Ukraine and Kyiv itself, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, Oleg, but it's a they were only a part of the Soviet Union for 30 years, and they have their own history as a country for about 1,000 years, I believe, dating back to the Cossacks. So that short period when Ukraine was under Soviet rule really gets lost in American media anyway, as far as your independence as a sovereign nation with your own values and beliefs and systems that aren't Soviet in nature. There's still a big influence, but it's not. And the other thing I wanted to say was, when I was in Kyiv, I don't know if you guys have been abroad. I know some of you have, but Kyiv is an amazing city. It rivals Rome, it rivals Paris. It's an amazing city, one of those old cities, that has been around for hundreds of years, unlike most of the cities in America. We're a young country. And that history isn't lost on you when you're there. And what I noticed when I was there, especially this last time in 21, Ukrainians are very, very Western, actually, and very much want to be Western. And they have the need to escape that Soviet oppression. And it's just sad that.
And so, sorry for interrupting you. Not just Soviet oppression, but Russian oppression, because prior to Soviet Union, there had been a Russian Empire dominated by Russians, and Russians had been subjugating other peoples, exploiting them, pitting them against each other. Kind of this infamous divide and rule imperial policy, millennia long, tested by time by these ruthless imperial rulers in different parts of the world. And then when this Russian Empire was overthrown by communists, by Lenin, by Bolsheviks, whatever you call them, again it was Russian-dominated. Russian-dominated polity, and Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language were restricted and were oppressed. The Soviet Union, again, it's the subject matter for separate lecture course, not even a single lecture. The Soviet Union was extremely controversial polity. So on the one hand, it claimed that it promotes equality, internationalism, but in fact, throughout most of its history, with some little exceptions in early 20s, 1920s, communist regime, Soviet communist regime was dominated by Russia, Russians, and kind of Russia induced and imposed policies, including culture, language, not just political and ideological policies. So when we are talking about Soviet rules, we have to keep Russia and Russians in mind. And I'm deliberately talking about Russians because this war, it's not just Putin's war. It's no matter what some people might say, it's kind of very popular trope that it's purely Putin's war. Russia is dictatorship. People have no say in what the dictator does, what Putin does. But again, they've got 600,000 people on the arms, invading our countries, killing civilians, looting innocent civilian population, killing prisoners of war, torturing prisoners of war. So it's not just Putin war, it's Russia.
And I wanted to say, it's like, I don't think Americans understand that Ukraine was, before the war, really just like us. Their lifestyles, their lives, they live just like us. So it was a real shock to them, like it would be here if some country just invaded us. It would be like if Mexico just invaded us and, annexed Texas, like the Russians annexed Crimea. It was a surprise to everyone. I know my brother Oleg can attest to that, and I'm sure Pablo, you can too. no one thought this was going to happen, and you had to deal with this in ways we can't imagine. But it's just like if we were invaded tomorrow. It was that big a surprise to Ukrainians. I think that's fair to say. We've only got a few minutes left, so I wanted to ask, does anyone have any questions for Pablo right now?
Again, little remark. Russian invasion began 11 years ago in 2014. So this full-scale invasion was a kind of surprise, but kind of we were expecting something bad coming out of Russia, but not on this scale. Not kind of our imagination was not wild enough kind of to expect this degree of malice and aggressiveness from Russians.
I'm pointing the camera at my group. Again, does anyone have any questions for Pablo or comments about revitalization?
Well, we have a raised hand. Lisa, Ukrainian. Lisa Moseichuk, you can go right ahead.
Yes, hello. I just wanted to say thank you for this lecture. I'm a student in a state University of Trade and Economics, a journalist student, and I just wanted to say that it's really hard for us students right now in Ukraine because of the war. There are so many, I don't know how to say it. Well,
you can say in Ukrainian now.
Before the war, no, it's okay. Before the war, I was a really socialized person. I went to school, and there was like everything that happened and related to my studying was happening offline, and now because of the war, almost everything that is happening is going online, and I just wanted to share this sad feelings about this, because even though again I'm a journalist student, because of Russia I have to stay at home and learn my favorite profession as a in-home person, and I know that if not for the war I wouldn't, and that's just really sad. And that's just, I wanted to share my feelings.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Other questions?
Yeah, Alexei, go ahead.
You have a question? I thought you had a question.
Yeah, I just have want to say thank you for that lecture, and as a citizen of Irpin, the city near Bucha, maybe called about that near to the Kiev, a middle city. Our city was quite destroyed. 70% of houses, how some experts say, and even that, I want to say that the military support would help us to fight the cause, not the effect, which is more important. But we really thank you for your help, like America, like people, our school. The cost of restoration of our school was partly supported by USAID and other, but mostly houses restored by their own cost, like our family, like others. It's all thank you.
Thanks for that. Other thoughts or comments from either side of the pond? Okay, I think we're just about out of time, but Pablo, do you have any last remarks, or just...
I just wanted to thank you, Ken, for pulling this off. Kind of great idea, and which is even more important, great implementation. So looking forward to more such meetings in the future, before too long.
Sooner than later, I hope. I want to get back over there. It was good to see you again.
And hope to be able to welcome you in Kiev again before too long.
Maybe I'll bring some students over and we'll get a real taste of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Sounds like a fantastic plan.
Maybe I'll bring Trump over there.
Oh, why not? He's been invited by Zelensky to visit Ukraine. So.
We're all groaning. Okay, everybody, thanks for coming to our little presentation. It was a pleasure. Pavlo, we'll catch up. We got some more talking.
We certainly will. We certainly will.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you.